What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are here back going to be talking about Survivor once again, doing our favorite video every single season. We are here going to be talking about Survivor season 45, our cast assessment. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and we're so excited to be back. I feel like the start of a new Survivor season is always so much fun because we get to hear about new people, we get to judge new people. Love judging people, especially knowing I'm never gonna play Survivor. Being able to be like, "Oh, they suck at Survivor," brings me so much joy. So yeah,
A professional hater.
honestly, that's me to a T.
So we're going to go through these 18 people basically in alphabetical order. In recent seasons, we've had a little PowerPoint slideshow, so we're going to bring that up again. So when we're talking about someone, there you can match their name to their face. Overall thoughts of this cast, I thought this was a very young cast. Like only two people over the age of 40 in this cast, and most are mid 20s basically. So I was like, dang, time for us to apply because they got a lot of 26-year-olds this season. It's our perfect age range.
Yeah, I noticed that too because I feel like one of the things people have enjoyed with like other seasons in the new era has been the age diversity. So I'm curious how to seeing how that kind of like changes the dynamic of the season. So I think the thing I noticed about this cast, which is also something that's been pretty prevalent among the new seasons, is there's a lot of like Survivor super fans, and I don't think I really like that just because I feel like there's a spectrum between people who like have never heard of Survivor and were chosen by casting to join the show, and people who are Survivor super fans. And I feel like the sweet spot is somewhere in the middle with people who like know Survivor and know how it works, but aren't like thinking about the metagame of Survivor every time they make a move, just because I think sometimes Survivor super fans, we end up getting really repetitive gameplay because it's like, well, in this situation, you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z. Or we get gameplay that's just dumb, and you're like, you're supposed to know better because you've seen people make this dumb mistake before. So I guess I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I agree. I think another thing I notice is that there's a lot of like the typical, white collar jobs, the educated people. I feel like last season we talked a lot about, a lot of people wrote about their education in their little bios that we're going through. I feel like similar kind of here, you have a lot of people in those maybe high paying jobs, the people that can take time off work in order to come and play Survivor. And I also feel like we're getting more like influencer type people nowadays. So, like people that are doing content creation as their full time job, more like creative kind of roles. So, I thought that was interesting to see.
Yeah, I do wonder again how much of that is the people who can afford to come and play Survivor. I think we've talked several times about how, not everyone is able to quit their job to go to Fiji for a month. So I feel like even though people see it as, well, you're going to Fiji to possibly make $1 million, like you're still taking a month-long vacation to Fiji. So
Or a lot of jobs you'd have to quit. You don't have a month of PTO or break vacation in order to be able to leave. So we definitely have talked about this before in terms of like job diversity. So I think it's interesting to see like the kinds of people's jobs that they can take this time off, or they just quit their job to come on this show.
mm-hmm.
Um, I also noticed a lot of people said that they would like to play or they're most inspired by Suri on this season, which is interesting because this season would have filmed, months ago before Suri was announced that she was cast on this most recent Big Brother season that's airing right now. And so I don't know. I thought that was fascinating. So maybe they're like, oh yeah, Suri was on Traitors, so that's why she's getting more of a resurgence here. And now she's also on Big Brother.
Yeah, I you know my whole spiel about how I feel like you shouldn't say that you want to play like someone who didn't win. So I guess the number of people who are like, I want to play like Suri, I'm kind of like, do you though? Like maybe you want to play like Big Brother Suri, but this isn't Big Brother. So
Yeah, sort of some drama in the Big Brother realm. But I thought one of the videos on YouTube, the first impressions video, was very, very interesting. It was like a 20-minute long video of the cast. Basically, in the pre Ponderosa, you are there doing your interviews like this, you're doing your photos before you're actually set out onto the island to start the show. They had a first impressions video where they're like, okay, give us your first impressions of your castmates. Who do you vibe with? Who do you not vibe with? And that video was very interesting because I feel like certain people kept on getting brought up as like, oh yeah, I liked that guy that looked like this. I like the guy with the big hair. I like this girl because she smiles a lot. So it's really fascinating to see. Even pre-game, people are like analyzing you. They're looking at who's journaling, who's not journaling, who's smiling, who's not smiling. Little things like that could influence maybe when you get into the game. Like, oh, I got a bad vibe from them at Ponderosa, and maybe a little bit more sketch if we're on the same tribe together.
which is so weird because it's like the game hasn't even started and these first impressions might make or break your game. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I would be interested to see if the people who like repeatedly got brought up are the ones that end up going further or not.
That's what I'm interested in knowing too. Like, are people so set in these first impressions? Or it's like, yeah, maybe a little iffy. This person sketched me out a little bit, but on a 6-person tribe, there's not really too much you can do unless you target that person first for being sketchy at Ponderosa, kind of thing. But in order to not be the first to boot, you might have to bring up anything you want in order to get someone else to be voted out.
Yeah, just being like, this person gave me bad vibes at Pondy. Like, it could work, I guess.
Yeah. Sketch City. So we will add our nice PowerPoint to the stage, and we are starting with Austin. Austin is 26 from California, now in Chicago, and he is a grad student. I feel like off the bat, I was like, okay, Austin seems really, really cool. I like his vibes that he's giving off from these answers. I did really like his answer about what life experience has prepared you for the game. I related to that one. And I think he seems very funny. The previous player question, he says Owen Knight because he's Asian, long hair, similar to Austin, makes sense. It was also a funny answer when he says he wants to be like Jay and Wendell because he too also has a crush on Michelle. And I'm like, who doesn't? Michelle is so pretty.
Right? I think the one thing that I was kind of like curious about is he says that he has 6-figure student debt. And I'm like, buddy, where did you go to school? Like, where are you going where you have 6-figure student debt? Though I guess because he's a grad student, it's like maybe more than that. Or like he might not have necessarily gone to like super expensive schools to get 6 figures into debt, but I'm like, I want to know. I want to know where he went to school. It's probably not one of the Ivies, otherwise he would have mentioned it like 30 different times, but I want to know.
Okay, LinkedIn says Purdue, and now he's at U Chicago for business MBA.
Okay, that was going to be my next question of what he's a grad student in. Business, questionable, questionable. So I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, interesting. So from California, didn't go to a California undergrad, goes to Chicago, guess stays in Illinois. Intriguing, intriguing. I think he seems very athletic and outdoorsy from these answers, which is good for the show. He seems
You can
very
also
fun.
see on his photo, he like has a tan already. So I feel like he definitely spends a lot of time outdoors. So
Yeah, I Loki looked him up on Instagram as well. He's got a lot of travel photos. So definitely
you're
going
a
around
stalker.
going around to different places. He seems fun. All of his answers were fun, shows his personality. I like him.
Yeah, I like him too. I think he'll be a good member of the cast. So of course, because we both like him, he's gonna go first. But sorry, Austin, we cursed you.
I thought it was interesting in the video interview. He was saying he was maybe a little sketched out by people trying to make too much eye contact too early, which I thought was interesting. We heard it multiple times in this video. Like, people noticing who was overly trying to make eye contact with people and basically saying, if you're trying to do that with everyone, it's not that useful as an ally, because if you're an ally to all, you're an ally to none.
Yeah. I do wonder, like, how much of it is people like trying to make eye contact, and how much of it is just like sometimes you're looking in a direction that someone is in, and if they turn to look at you, you're not gonna like look away. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
like just being friendly.
exactly.
So next up, we have got Brandon. Brandon is also 26 from New Jersey, still in New Jersey, and he's a content producer. He says he's a writer. So I sort of want to know, like, okay, what does this mean? What is your background in it? Because he seems very into the writers. So he says he likes Mike White, David, Cochran, Penner. So I'm like, okay, I would like to know more.
Yeah, I feel like he says, I wake up every day wishing I was Mike White. And like, I personally don't do that. But if I were to wake up every day wishing I was Mike White, it would not be because of anything that Mike White did on Survivor. Because Mike White now has like a very lucrative, like a Hollywood writing career. And I'm kind of like, yes, I would like to have money from Hollywood. So I wonder if Mike White is on strike right now. Probably. So yeah. I do think this man gives off such like he says he gives up off tabletop vibes energy. And I'm like, yes, you do. Like you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt and you have long hair and glasses. Of course you give off tabletop game energy. So
I thought that answer was so funny. Like I was like, what are tabletop games? Like, does that just mean board games? And he's like, yeah, Catan. I hate Catan. And then I was like, oh, that's a new one. Is that a diss? Can I just start saying, hey, yo, you look like you play tabletop games, and people would take offense to that.
I don't think that most people would take offense to that because a lot of people who play tabletop games like enjoy it. It's just like a way to have fun. So you look like someone who likes to have fun with their friends. Like that's not a diss. So
Dang. I thought my like red flag with Brandon, he says he's anxious and he talks about being very anxious in his day-to-day life and having his friends and family, they know how they can calm him down, which I might be a little bit bad for Survivor if he's very anxious and paranoid out there, especially in those first few days. You might overplay or like question your alliance members and they're like, "Why are you so sketched out? Why are you so paranoid? We're chill, be chill." And then you go down that rabbit hole and then overplay out of the game.
yeah, I was gonna say I wrote in my notes, anxiety is not your friends. And I feel like that's a general life lesson, but especially in Survivor, you don't want to be anxious because anxiety is what leads to, like you said, overplaying, second guessing, all of that.
Exactly. I liked his pet peeves. He said, adult men who have Snapchat. I agree. Anyone over the age of 20, what? Why are you communicating through Snapchat? And then people who message me hi when they need something. I also agree. If you're just going to say hi, you respond back and then they ask you for something. I'm like, yo, just in your first message, say what you wanted when you said it.
I'm gonna start doing that to you, Rachel, messaging you hi and then wanting something from you.
Oh yeah, when we schedule our podcasts, Alyssa, I'll just say hi, wait for you to respond, and then I'll ask you what time we should do.
I will simply never respond if you just say hi. So
Exactly. So we agree with Brandon. You need to say what you want in that first message. I also similarly think people should not ask you like, "Hey, are you free this weekend?" Like, no, give me some more information. Like, are you free Saturday to do XYZ? Because I don't know if I'm free yet unless I know what you want to do because
I
I
was
might
gonna
not be
say
free
there
depending
are
if it's something I don't want.
there are some things that I would reschedule plans for, and there are some things that even if I was open all day long, I would not do that. So I feel like, yeah, people need to get better at texting. I feel like we've had texting long enough that people should know texting etiquette.
Exactly. Give us what your plan is because depending on what it is, I might be free, I might not be free because I don't want to do it.
Exactly.
So after Brandon, we've got Brando. He is 23 from California, now in Washington State, and he is a software developer. I thought it was interesting he was talking about his weight loss, which, like, very, very good for him. I would not have expected him to be weighing 200 pounds at age 16, given what he looks like now. So that's really great for his fitness journey.
Yeah, I feel like he has a lot of, I guess that must be like self control type stuff. Like if you're able to just get out and start running 3 miles every night, that's that's rough. So
Yeah, seriously. So he should be super proud of that. He says he's most like David Wright and Yao Man. I can definitely see these pet peeves. He says the person taking the urinal right next to you when there's a bunch of others open. I'm like, I can't necessarily relate to that, but I feel like similarly, if you're on like a empty subway or bus, and someone comes and sits right next to you on public transportation when it's an empty car. Like, yo, why don't you sit over there?
I will say with like David Wright, I'm kind of like again with the anxiety thing. David Wright was an anxious little bean. He almost won, but it was despite his anxiety, not because of it. So I feel like again, if maybe this man looks like he could have anxiety. I feel like anyone like with glasses and a Hawaiian shirt looks like they have anxiety. But
That's both
that
of these. They're both like similar.
exactly, which is why they both give me anxious vibes. But anyways, we already gave our anti-anxiety spiel earlier, where it's like anxiety will not happen in the game of Survivor.
I do wonder with Brando, he also says he has a passion for writing. So maybe Brando and Brandon can connect over their interest in writing. Or, like we've seen in the past, people with similar names, you might have to vote the other person with a similar name to you out.
Yeah, you think?
Maybe. I mean, you want to be the most famous Brandon on your cast. You don't want people like, I'm Brandon D and I'm Brando whatever last initial is.
I mean, that seems like a sketchy reason to vote someone out. But again, maybe you're looking for any reason. Just be like, it'll be so much easier if there's only one Brandon.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't help that there was a Brandon last season too. Soon you'll have to be like, which one were you talking about? You need their last names in there.
yeah, which is never good. I hate when I have to put people's last names in things.
Yeah. So this is Brando. Then we go to Bruce, who you might
Bruce.
recognize from last
Yeah,
season.
yeah. I
He
was gonna
is
say kind of deja vu.
exactly. We'll just cut what we said last time and put it here. So, Bruce is 47. He's from Rhode Island, still in Rhode Island, and he is an insurance agent. Back from last season, in his questionnaire, I feel like maybe we talked about this last season. He gave very, very short answers.
Yeah, he did not really give a lot of answers that like clue you into who he is as a person. And I feel like also, even though he was on last season, it wasn't really like enough for us to get like a vibe and be like, oh, this is why he gave short answers or anything. So, Bruce, you remain an enigma.
Exactly. A little bit hard to read. We know some of his backstory from the premiere of last season, his short lived stint on Survivor. But yeah, don't really know like how he would play the game really, what his game plan is going in. He's the first person to return to the game in the new era, so production must really like him and see something in him if he's the first one invited back.
Or maybe they just felt bad because it was their fault that he got out. So,
True. Then I guess they should bring back David versus Goliath, the first person medevac.
oh, that's true. That's true. I wonder
So
why they didn't. So,
yeah, Bruce is the oldest man this season at 47. People in the video interviews do recognize him. They're saying they want to work with him. So that's good because they could be like, oh, Bruce got medevac last season. let's vote him out. But because he got medevac so early, it's not really like an unfair advantage. It's not like Bruce is the returning player who made it to the end and was voted out in fourth place or something that might give him a big target. But I feel like because he was only there, a couple hours a day, I don't think that would be a reason to necessarily target him because he's been there before.
Exactly. I do wonder if the fact that he is like the oldest man on this season will be a negative for Bruce, because I feel like he was still one of the older people last season, but he definitely didn't, I would say, stick out as much as being older. But with what you said about there's a lot of like mid 20s people now, I feel like maybe being the older guy will be more of something noticeable, something that people bring up. So
And that's like 12 years, 13 years older. The next oldest person on the cast are two at 35 years old. And then the oldest woman is 49. So, like, only two people above the age of 40, and they're 47, 49, which is like way older than 35. And then you get into all of your mid 20s people.
yeah, so I really want to know what they were thinking when they like picked the ages of these cast members, because it does seem like kind of an unfair disadvantage to the older people. But who knows? Maybe they'll prove me wrong.
So next we've got D, who is also 26. So Alyssa and I got to apply because we'll be 26 next year. So it's perfect.
Right?
D is 26 from Cuba, and now is living in Florida, and she's an entrepreneur. She doesn't say what her business is, so I really want to know what she's an entrepreneur in.
Right? Like a lot of people, when they say, like, oh, I'm a small business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm like, are you just in an MLM or are you like actually a small business owner? So you got to keep on your toes. So yeah, I feel like her story, kind of her family leaving Cuba so that she could have a better life, is really inspiring. I think that it's really great that she kind of wants to give back to them, and I also love that she identifies with Jesse because of like his why, and not necessarily being like, oh, I'm gonna be the best person ever at the game, because like Jesse did almost win his season, but instead of being like, oh, I'm gonna be like Jesse because he was a great strategist or whatever, she was like, we have similar reasons for wanting to play. I feel like that's a different twist on the question than we normally see.
I agree. It definitely comes across in her interviews and the questionnaires that she really does care about her family, where she comes from, her background, representation. It was fun. She, like, ran a marathon without really, like, having run before and then training for it, so that was cool. I was like, "Okay, maybe that can be me." The weird thing, though, was she never finished her college, which, okay, not necessarily needed. She's successful as an entrepreneur, but you're gonna pay all that money to fail one class before you graduate, and then you're not going to get your diploma?
I also think it's funny that she didn't tell anyone that she actually failed. Like, imagine being like her mom or like, I don't know, her grandma, and finding out via Survivor that your daughter, your granddaughter, your whoever did not actually graduate college. Like, wow, that would be whiplash.
Yeah, and one class missing. It's not like, "Oh, you left school after 1 year and you never finished." It's like, "Dang, you were literally so close. You have one class you need to graduate."
Yeah, yeah. Just sign up to one of those online classes, online universities, and you can finish, if
Yeah,
only to say that you have it. So
just for the piece of paper. The whole reason for college is that piece of paper. You gotta get it.
right.
And then it gets, wrinkled in the mail.
Mine didn't get wrinkled in the mail, so
Oh, dang, one of my friends did. It got all bent up. And you're like, "Dang,
that's
you paid so
upsetting.
much for your bent up piece of paper." So, next up, we've got Drew, who is also 23, similar to Brando is 23. He's from MI, Michigan?
Mississippi,
Mississippi? Okay.
I
Maybe I
think.
wrote
Hold
that
on,
wrong.
what is
I think
MI?
that's probably incorrect.
Oh, apparently Michigan is MI. What's Mississippi? MS?
Maybe. Wait, shouldn't you know?
Obviously,
Aren't your parents from Michigan?
my dad's from Michigan, yeah, but I've never heard of Birmingham, so
Okay, so
sorry, Drew.
he's from Michigan, now in Pennsylvania. He's also a grad student similar to Austin. Oh, maybe let's see what grad student he's in. He's very tall. I looked like the cast photo, he's in the back row. Everyone else is like very short looking. So I wonder, is he just tall or is the rest of the cast short?
It could be both. He looks like he's very lanky, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, while Rachel stalks him, I feel like one thing that's kind of interesting is he says that he moved to Philadelphia on his own to work at a call center. Oh, a cell center. I read that as call center the first like 3 times that I read it. And so I think that's interesting. I don't know how he managed to get a job during the pandemic because I swear I graduated in the pandemic and no one was hiring. It sucked. So I think being a salesperson, you can never trust salespeople, especially not elevator salespeople. So, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see if that like persuasive nature works well for him. And then it also seems like his hobbies are very different from his work. There are some people where I'm like, oh, your hobbies tell me one thing and your job tells me the same thing. I feel like I have your number. But then working at a sales center and then playing Scrabble as your hobby, I'm like, who are you? Mr. Enigma Man. So,
Yes, I am trying to find on LinkedIn. Let's see. Okay. So he's at Penn.
ooh,
Okay. 2019 to 2023. We're in 2023 now.
maybe he quit to come on Survivor.
Maybe. So I guess that'd be undergrad though at Penn for English language and literature, bachelor's degree.
So what
Oh,
is
okay,
he?
wait. This is so funny. So if you look up one person, the people also viewed on this sidebar is literally everyone else on this cast. You got Brandon, Curturo, Brando, Emily. They're everyone's searching these people up.
So what I'm hearing is that y'all are stalkers. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm saying maybe he didn't update his LinkedIn recently because he doesn't have that many connections.
maybe he didn't update his LinkedIn because he knew people would be stalking.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting he won the trivia national championship. That probably takes a lot of skill to like learn all of these facts and categories. He does have an answer where he says all of his nerdy accomplishments are very predictable based on appearance. And I was like, oh, really?
Yeah, I would. He looks like a nerd, but it's not like he looks like national trivia champion nerd. So
I was just thinking like Carson last season, we were talking about it. I think you just have to drop the glasses.
I don't know. I'm not good at imagining people's faces without glasses. But yeah, I think it's always nice. We always have our token nerd. It seems like we have several token nerds this season. So
So Drew seems cool.
yeah, he seems nice. I think I don't know if he'll go far or not, but I want him to like spout out random trivia facts as we go along.
I know.
So
I want to know what he's doing this grad program in.
me too.
So next up, we've got Emily. Emily is 28 from Texas, now in Maryland. Maybe we know her, who's an investment analyst. Her 3 words, one of them to describe herself was aggressive. I was like, okay, that's interesting to describe yourself that way. Then she said she moved to Shanghai for school. Also, very interesting. You know, you have to learn a new language, get accustomed to a new culture. And then in her answer, she's like, accustomed to working with and competing against people with different backgrounds and life experiences. I was like, that's a little bit of an interesting way to phrase that because usually people don't bring up competition in terms of like school or work unless you're one of those people that are very, very try hard at school or work and people don't want to hang out with you because you're competing with them in those areas. And then she's like, I'm personality most like Chaos Cass.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. I feel like she says that being like Cass is like a good thing and it's a compliment. And I wouldn't necessarily agree, but it does paint a very strong picture of what she's like. I feel like looking at her picture, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, that's Chaos Cass clone. I would be like, she seems sweet. So I'm interested to see like what she's really like. Like, is she actually aggressive, or is she just one of those people who thinks that she's aggressive because one time she cut someone off in traffic? Because I've met so many people who are like, oh yeah, I'm so aggro, and then it's like they are not. So
Pet peeves. She says nearly everything: chewing, snoring, arrogance, being overly serious, being overly jokey. I hope she's being sarcastic here and this is funny, because if it is chewing, snoring, arrogance, fun, being too serious, being too jokey, that's like going to be everyone on this cast,
I was
I
gonna say
think.
that is 100% of Survivor. So
Yeah, like you're in close quarters, you're eating with these people, you're sleeping with these people, you're going to have a lot of like arrogant, I'm the best type A personality people here. We have the very jokey people, like these young guys are going to be like, hey, yo, fun. And you might have the very serious people that are going to take the game serious. So you really just dislike everyone on the cast.
yeah, I do wonder if it'll just be like Cass did get surprisingly far in her season. So maybe Emily will also get surprisingly far despite being annoyed with everyone and everything. I feel like she definitely is playing to be a personality who gets invited back and not necessarily being a person who wins.
Mm. I'm like, at least she is self aware. She says, people find me off putting. I was like, okay, that's sort of funny. So maybe these answers are jokes, similar to Evie in their questionnaire saying that they hate men. And then everyone was like, oh my gosh, what is this answer? So maybe Emily is like jokey jokes here, and these are sort of funny. I feel like she comes across more chill in the video interviews and less of like, this very kind of in your face, people find me annoying, but I'm going to embrace that kind of thing. In the video, she seems more chill.
Yeah, she does. So I guess we'll have to see what happens with that one.
So next up, we have Hannah, who is 33 from Connecticut, also in Maryland now. So maybe we know her as well. And she's a therapist. Sort of want to know what kind of therapy she does. She didn't really mention it in the interviews or anything, which I feel like therapist, it could help with the game, or like depends maybe if she'll lie about her job or not, because if people know that she's a therapist, would they think she asks too many questions and then can analyze people too well that they don't want her around?
Yeah, I am very interested because if she's a therapist who works in Baltimore, I feel like there's a good chance that I know someone who knows her at the very least. So, yeah, again, I'm suspicious. I'm going to look her up on LinkedIn now. So, yeah, I think that, I don't know, because Tori was a therapist who did fairly well. So, yeah, who knows?
Yeah, or Instagram, you might have mutuals, because like I looked up Austin on Instagram and then we have mutuals. I'm like, anyone from California, I'll maybe look up, because you might actually know people that know them before they're on the show.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I found her on LinkedIn. It's someone who has similar glasses. Um, I'll look at this later because I feel like looking while also trying to talk about Survivor is not always the easiest. So yeah,
I
I
think
think I want her to do well simply because I feel like I should do well in things.
And I think it's really great. She says she got sober when she was 20 years old. So that's a big congratulations. That's super awesome. It's also really impressive. She says she's founded and she runs a group private practice for therapy. I think, she's very young, 33. So that's very impressive. In the video interview, she says she does not like the millennial Gen Z pick me people. She wants to vote them out, which I'm like, okay, yeah, that's good. We don't like the pick me's.
Yeah, we don't. So I just verified that this is in fact the survivor Hannah. So,
Do you have mutuals?
anyways, I don't have any of my connections on LinkedIn, even though I probably should do that sometime. But yeah. So, anyways, Hannah, I will say she did pick two non-winners as people she will play like. So 0 out of 10.
But 10 out of 10 because Maryland.
Yes, 10 out of 10 because Maryland.
So next up, we have Jay Maya, who is 24 from California, still in California, and she's a singer. She says she's turned down Harvard Law to pursue being a singer-songwriter. I'm like, dang, that's so risky, but like good for you for following that passion and dream to be a singer and to not just like, oh, she's saying, yeah, my parents, I need to go to law school, need to go do school XYZ, but like to turn down an admissions letter to do singing, that's really awesome.
Especially because like it's not easy to get into Harvard Law. Like it's not like, oh, she turned down a letter to community college. So
Yeah, it's like you would have took the LSAT, had to do all of the admission stuff, like dang, like that is a real big 180 degrees from like potentially doing more education to not doing more education after undergrad.
yeah, so I guess it also seems to me like that's a very wide variety of like life experience because being to get into Harvard, you have to have a pretty competitive undergrad. You have to have a pretty competitive LSAT score. But then, as far as like being a singer, that's a totally different skill set. So,
That's what I wrote in my notes too. I felt like she has a lot of experiences and life, even though she is only 24, to be able to relate to a lot of people. Like coming up in the next few people, we have a lot of attorneys on this cast. So, Jay Maya, even though she never went to law school, she could maybe bring up, yeah, I'm interested or I was interested in law or my parents are in law or whatever. And then she could relate to the other attorneys or with like the creative aspect of singer songwriting, she can relate to all of these creative people. And she's apparently like famous on TikTok, so she could talk with the more like influencery content people on this cast. So I feel like even though she is really young, I feel like she has a lot of ways she could connect to other people.
yeah, I'm excited to see how she like moves forward in the game just because that is like such an interesting like skill set. I feel like she seems like she would be super nice. I love her photo and I love the dress that she's wearing. So I get good vibes.
Me too. She seems like someone you'd want to hang out with in real life. She seems funny too. She says she's into puns. Someone else also wrote about puns in their bio, and then she's talking about competitive punning. So it's like, is that really a thing, or are people just making jokes about punning?
I feel like it would have to be a joke because competitive punning just doesn't sound real, but who knows? Maybe there's a whole world we're about to unlock.
Yeah, competitive pun competitions. So Jay Maya also talks about like Indian American representation on television and as well as like singer songwriters. So that is very, very cool. And in the video, she says she wants to create an alliance of powerful women.
I love that. I think that there are times when wanting to create a women's alliance backfires, but I always love when people are like looking for strong allies who they like and who reflect them. So
Yeah. So Jay Maya, high hopes. Next up, we're going to the lawyers. We've got Jake, who is 26 from Massachusetts, still in Massachusetts, and he is an attorney. Similar to Brando, he talks about his weight loss journey. He lost a lot of weight. So maybe Jake and Brando might talk about that or others who have gone through similar experiences. I thought his Wendell answer was interesting because he's like, yeah, Wendell is creative but logical from law school. I also have those skills, so I'm hoping to combine the two.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because I don't think I've ever heard Wendell described as creative yet logical. So, yeah, I thought it was an interesting way to describe Wendell. I think it's also an interesting way to describe law school because I think people forget that there is some creativity when it comes to the law and balancing the law. So,
Yeah, yo, with all these attorneys on here, I'm like, I should apply because 26 and lawyers, they're looking for something.
they're
So
looking for you, Rachel.
exactly. I do want to know what kind of law he is doing because the other two attorneys mentioned the kind of law they're doing, but he didn't. I don't know. Low key though, I feel like he gives me very typical attorney vibes.
Yeah, maybe you could find on LinkedIn what kind of lawyer he is. So, yeah,
Yeah, I tried the too common name.
upsetting.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like his answers were sort of short. I didn't really get too much from his stuff.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So, next up, we've got Julie, who is 49 from Tennessee, still in Tennessee, and she is also an attorney. She is very, very inspiring. I'm like, dang, Julie, you are so cool. She says she started law school at the age of 40. At that time, she was recently a single mom with two middle school aged kids. So inspiring. She's creating this new life for her and her kids. And then she goes on to say that she passed the bar in the same week that her daughter graduated high school. I'm like, wow. That's so awesome.
Yeah, I feel like that must have been so difficult too because she wants to, support her kid, obviously, but then she also is doing her own thing. So I also love the whole story of like her watching Survivor Second Chance as she's like doing this second career, getting her own second chance. Like, wow, poetry.
Probably why she was casted. I do wonder if she sort of maybe brings up she might lie about being a lawyer. I do hope she tells others that she is a lawyer because it seems like very integral to her part of her story between the last 10 years of her life if she's just going to like delete that and just say she's working at whatever job she was working at before she was a lawyer. I feel like she shouldn't lie about it because it's such a huge part of who she is. You know, maybe if you were like 25 just starting out as a lawyer, you might say you are still in law school, or you might say that you're a paralegal and you might not say you're an attorney. But I feel like for Julie, she shouldn't lie about it. And especially with all the other lawyers on the cast, I feel like if she does say she's a lawyer and she did this career change at 40, people would have a lot of respect for her and maybe want to work with her and not just be like, oh, this is the oldest woman on the cast. Let's vote her out.
I get it though, because I feel like there's certain stigma around being a lawyer, especially depending on what kind of lawyer you are. So maybe she doesn't want to play into that. Plus, also kind of like voting out someone who has the same name as you. You want to vote out someone who has the same career as you. Like you don't want to be part of the lawyers alliance, do you? So
Yeah, I guess I could. Yeah, if you've gone through that experience of law school, the cutthroat, that kind of depending on what kind of law you're in, then maybe you're like, oh, because they've gone through that experience XYZ about them, make an assumption, then you might want to vote them out. Or on the other hand, you're like, oh, this person has determination and grit for doing that career change, going through law school so late, passing the bar while your kids are literally growing up in front of you. I don't know. I feel like she should say share the job.
yeah. So we'll have to see what she chooses because maybe she's like, maybe I shouldn't share my job, but then she actually does. Because I feel like there's a lot of people who go into Survivor intending to keep a certain secret about themselves, and then they're like, JK, I'm going to tell everyone. So,
Exactly. In the video interviews, she was super hype though. Like she's very, very animated. So I feel like she comes across well. And so even as the oldest person on this cast, hopefully she's able to fit in. And her kids are like 21 and 23, I think she's saying now. So it's sort of mom vibes to the younger people on the cast.
yeah, but then you don't necessarily want to have mom vibes.
Mhm.
So, I guess we'll have to see.
So next up, we have Katura, who is 35. Now she's in New York and she's a civil rights attorney. When I read that, I was like, she does not look 25. I was thinking mid 20s. I mean,
25
35,
is,
right?
yes, 35. I was like, 25 is mid 20s. But yeah, she does not look 35. She is so beautiful. I love
Mm.
her like crop top. I love her skirt. I love her hair. I love everything about her. She's another one of the people where I'm just like, oh, the vibes are immaculate. So yeah.
I agree. She seems so fun. I'm like, dang, in her answer for the value in alliance partner, she says, loyalty so unrelenting that it's illogical. Think Laurel's when loyalty to Wendell. And I'm like, that is such a good answer. Why do more people not say that? Like a lot of people in these answers, they're like, yeah, I want a ride or die. I want someone I can bounce ideas off of. I want someone I can trust. But this is good. I want someone who loves me so, so, so much that they won't ever flip on me and they will vote for me $1 million at the end of the game. I'm like, this is a good alliance partner. You want someone you can bounce ideas off of, but they're so dyingly loving you that they're not going to vote you out.
Right? And then I also loved a lot of her other answers where she was like talking about how she is black and queer and came from poverty and how she has so much determination. And I'm just like, I love you, queen. So yeah.
She seems so cool. She's been through a lot in her life and she's working to help future generations through civil rights law. So I feel like her story really, really makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, I went through this, but for future generations, I want to help them. So I'm going to become an attorney to work with social justice, work with inequality. So I think she's just so cool.
Yeah, yeah. I also love that she put her biggest inspiration was herself as a child. Like,
Mm.
we all need more self love like that. So I am going to be heartbroken if she is one of the first boots because I just love her so much.
And in the video interview, she says she likes softer energy people. Maybe that would be someone good for the alliance. She says she wants people who might get overlooked as her secret alliance member. So you have your main alliance and then someone that maybe more quiet, more softer energy, that be her secret alliance. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I love her.
So next up is Caleb, who is 29 from Canada, still in Canada, and he's in software sales. I thought he gave such good vibes. He's so cute. And I got the wrong picture for this PowerPoint because in the other photo, he had the coolest pants out there. I was like, yo, I want
Right?
these pants.
I love his pants. They're just so fun and funky. And I feel like, again, the vibes. I feel like
I'm like, I want those pants. Where did you buy them? If I were out there, I'd be like, yo, you're so cute and fun, but I might have to vote you out because I want those pants.
I don't think that you could inherit someone's pants the way you can inherit their jacket. But Caleb, if you're watching this, please like drop on Instagram or something where you got those pants, and do they ship to the United States?
Oh
So,
man, if they're Canada, we'll have to say Russell Muscle, please buy us these pants and give them to us.
anyways, other than the pants, I feel like he just again seems like someone who is like a good vibe. He was a lifeguard. He started a painting business. He went through university. Like, yeah, I feel like he just has a lot of again various life experiences that I feel like together make for a good time.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that he said him and his mom would laugh at the pathetic crying survivors on TV, which is so true though, because I feel like if you watch this show with any like casual fan, they're always like, why are they crying out there? They're only gone for X number of days. Like, why are they all such big babies out there? So it's funny that someone put that into words. And he does seem very funny because he's also saying, yeah, 1 million US dollars goes a lot further in Canada. Truth with that, as we've seen with Erica and Marianne being Canadian as well. Also funny for the winner answer, he's like, I would say Tony, but out of respect, I won't say Tony.
Yeah, I feel like also I want to see him cry on TV so that he can be one of the people that like we point and laugh at. Just bring it
Yeah.
full circle.
You can't say that, and now people are gonna make fun of you if that does happen and he's crying on television, but it would be full circle, it'd be a funny meme.
Oh yeah, he's totally gonna cry on television. I'm calling it now.
So he's a salesperson. So hopefully there are no Codys out there because he talks about generating millions of dollars in sales. So, like, that is really, really impressive. He says, "For why will you be the sole survivor?" He says, "I've never been qualified for anything I've done, so why not me?" I really like that attitude. Like, who says you can't do it? Why don't you just try and do it? There is no like rule of who can and can't win Survivor, so sure, why can't it be him?
I wish I had that energy. I never apply for anything unless I'm overqualified. So again, Caleb, I need your secrets. Drop like an Instagram reel about it. Easy things.
A life coach. I
Yeah.
also think he comes across very well in the video interviews. It might be a little bit bad for him because it does seem like in other people's video interview for the first impression question, they were saying that he is smiling at too many people, making eye contact with too many people. So it might bring sketch into the vibes the first episode if they're like, that was the guy that was smiling too much. But I think Caleb's so funny. In his video interview, he was giving nicknames for everyone because they don't know anyone's names yet. So he's like, Lanky Blanky, I think we can that's probably Drew.
Yep.
Youngblood, I would say Brando.
Yeah. Yeah. So
UFC fighter.
again, I feel like some of these nicknames, I don't know everyone's picture well enough to be able to be like,
Mm,
oh, it's this person or it's this person. Like Lanky Blanky is obviously Drew, but you know, other people I'm kind of like, eh, I don't know who this is, but it'll be fun to see.
I know, we need him to tell us who they are because he also is like Hotter Geo, and then there's one guy he wants to make his husband out there. I'm like, okay, who are these ones? Because those ones are less hard than like Lanky Blanky and Youngblood.
Yeah.
So Caleb seems cool. Hopefully he's not voted out early.
Yeah, hopefully not.
So next up, we've got Kelly, who is 30 from Connecticut in New York now, and she is a critical care nurse. Seeing this name, I'm like, okay, we've got another new way to spell Kelly, adding to our number of Kellys that have played Survivor, another one with a different spelling.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it. She's gonna be the second place finisher because Kelly's never win.
Oh,
So, yeah, I really liked her story about starting to watch Survivor during COVID. Like she was a nurse in NYC during COVID, which not a fun time. So I feel like, yeah, it was kind of interesting to hear a different like Survivor origin story that wasn't just, you know, I've been watching Survivor since I was a kid. I've always been inspired by Survivor. But, you know, I liked it.
I agree. I think Kelly is very, very inspiring, seeing how short life is and how it can change overnight with COVID, working in the hospitals. So she's saying, why not just go for what you want, full tilt? I was like, okay, full tilt boogie, we're making that happen. But I agree with that sentiment. Like, life is so short. You should just, YOLO it, go out and fight for what you want, do what you want. Similar kind of, I guess, attitude to Caleb there. Like, why can't I win? I'm going to try, put my best foot forward. Kelly here, like, do something adventurous with your life because it's so short.
Yeah, I just feel like that was really interesting to hear about. And then also, she said a lot of stuff that, like, why being a nurse is going to be helpful for her. I gotta say, she said that she related to Kelly Wentworth, and it's the Kelly vibes. The Kellys are connected emotionally. Um, but she did say a winner in her who she'll play most like. So I feel like that's also good vibes.
I feel like being a nurse, especially critical care, she's going to be good thinking on her feet. She says she's rational, perceptive, emotionally intelligent in stress and chaos situations. So I feel like her profession would help her a lot in Survivor. I think she could go really far. She seems really, really cool.
Yeah, I also really want them to bring the loved ones visit back because what Kelly said about her fiance was so cute. I want to see them together. That's all.
So next up, we've got Kendra, who is 31 from Massachusetts, now in Colorado, and she's a bartender. She says she's really connected to Carolyn from season 44. I was like, okay, I guess I can sort of see those vibes. I feel like being a bartender for so many years probably helps her, similar to like Michelle Fitzgerald being a bartender before coming into Survivor. I feel like that kind of job, you really have to be sociable. You have to sort of mold yourself based off of the customers you're getting. You have to work on your feet if it's like happy hour or, Friday night where there's a ton of people coming in. So I feel like her job will probably help her with like the social, stressful aspects of Survivor.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. One of the things she said and why she will be the sole survivor is she said soul spelled Soul, and she says she has moxie, which I feel like is a word that we do not use nearly enough in day to day life. So yeah,
Oh my gosh, that was like Franny's answer. There's like two answers last season that had some funny words, and we said we were going to start using them more. So now we need to start using Moxie.
do you remember what the funny words we were supposed to start using more were though? Because I don't.
No. I thought it was funny. Her pet peeve was when people ask the meaning of her tattoos, which I was like, that might not be that might be bad because as an easy conversation topic, I feel like a lot of people usually ask, like, oh, what's that tattoo? Or does it mean anything? Or when did you get it? Like asking backstories about tattoos because it's easy, like, hey, I don't know anything about you. Let me ask you what's on your arm.
Yeah. And, it would be better than, what happened last season where the guys were broing out about their tattoos and totally ignoring Carolyn with her full sleeve of tattoos. So you might have to get over that pet peeve there,
Yeah.
Kendra.
I feel like she looks so much like Jerry Manthe.
Um, I don't really see it other than the hair is kind of similar.
Yeah, it's the hair. It's like I don't know. I feel like they look so similar.
I respect your thinking they look similar, but I don't agree.
So next up, we've got Sabaya. She is 28 from Georgia, now in North Carolina, and she's a truck driver. She was 4 years active duty in the Marine Corps. She talked in the interview for the video about boot camp and how like the Marine Corps military would help her in Survivor. And I'm like, yeah, I can definitely see how being military would help you here.
I can see that, but I think also there's some parts of being military that might not help as much. Like the whole idea of there being like a strict hierarchy is
Mm.
probably not going to be super great in Survivor because, there's no one that you answer to except yourself. And if you expect other people to answer to you, that's probably not going to go over well. I feel like being a truck driver might actually be more helpful for her than being in the Marine Corps, just because with a truck driver, you like have to deal with people sometimes. You're oftentimes alone and like able to think your thoughts and stuff like that. And I feel like both being able to be alone without like constantly needing someone is valuable in Survivor in case you go to like exile and stuff, but then also, you know, being able to talk to other people useful on the island. So
I feel like her answers in the interview for the questionnaire were very, very short. She does mention that she has four brothers. So, okay, as that could help probably a lot of energy there, but I feel like in the video interview she came off very, very calm, level-headed. I feel like that calm vibe would be very, very good on the island, very opposite to that anxious energy we were talking about with some of the people at the top of this cast. Like she seems very, very chill, like you'd want to work with someone like that because more, I guess, a straight shooter, they're not going to be super paranoid with you. So I feel like I really like that calm energy.
yeah, I think that'll be good. Maybe she can be in an alliance with one of the anxious people to kind of be their calm.
And she seems very perceptive in the video first impressions. She says that she didn't bring a journal because she didn't want to be like writing down things all the time, but she was watching other people and noticing when they would write down stuff and noticing like, oh, okay, what gets that person to write something down? What are they noticing that they're writing down right now? So even if she's like more quiet, calm, she's definitely got her eyes open, looking at other people to see what they're doing and taking that information in, which I think would be very good for the show.
Yeah, I think that's going to be um a good thing for her, like being able to both notice yourself but then notice other people noticing. That's
Mhm. So next up, we've got Sifu, who is 30, Illinois, still in Illinois, and he's a gym owner. I feel like he talks a lot about martial arts in the interviews, specifically Tai Chi. So I do wonder how that will translate to the island because there wasn't really any answer to that. More so just like, I really like martial arts.
maybe he's planning on straight up throwing down with people who he disagrees with. If for some reason they do go back to doing any of the like really physical challenges, that could be good. You know, martial arts, put someone in a headlock, be able to win the game that way. But, you know, since US Survivor doesn't really do that, maybe not.
Maybe good for the challenge, like the headbangers on the challenge. It might be good at those.
Maybe he's using this as a Survivor to challenge pipeline.
Yeah, yeah. Challenge CBS. So for Sifu, I feel like he had very short answers in the questionnaire, but he has fun energy in the video interviews. But I feel like I was watching the video interviews and everyone else got to talk, but most times his stuff wasn't there. So I was like, oh, did they just edit it out? Like, it just seemed like his answers in the video interview were also very short.
Maybe he didn't give them a lot to go off of. Maybe he was
Mhm.
intentionally not giving them stuff to go off of. I also always wonder, like, maybe he curses a lot and they just, you know, didn't feel like bleeping out 100 things. So,
Yeah, so I feel like he's maybe the one I have the most question marks about because there is so much less kind of information shared. So I'd be intrigued.
yeah, I was kind of like everything circles back to Tai Chi, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. So last but not least, we've got Sean, who is 35 from New Jersey, now in Utah, and he is an elementary school principal. He talks a lot about in the interviews about being a gay man, overcoming social stigma and religious expectations, which has helped him develop mental grit, tenacity, and resilience. Which, yeah, I feel like Utah, definitely I can see how you would learn these things from being there.
Especially Provo. Provo is one
Yep.
of the like super Mormon places. So, yeah, I do wonder, you know, kind of what is it like to be in Utah, period. But then also, I feel like being a gay person in an extremely Mormon community would suck. So
Yeah, I was sort of like, why move there?
who knows? Maybe he had a reason.
I guess the school system there. For alliance partners, he says he's looking for people with diverse perspectives, align with people who think differently from him. That's definitely good. I feel like, yeah, definitely as a school principal, having him gone through like the social and religious expectations and probably being judged from where he's living, he probably thinks a lot about like social justice, equality, and equity. So I feel like he could align with people with those similar values that we've seen on this cast.
Yeah. So I would love to see him like squat up with like the civil rights attorney and some other people who are like, yeah, let's make the world better and just have them be, I don't know, the social justice squad. That sounds so bad. Like I think it would be interesting to, you know, see what he considers, you know, diverse points of view, who he decides to bring in for those diverse viewpoints, stuff like that.
I think the way that he talks about his husband is very cute, similar to Kelly talking about her fiance. I was like, "Aw." He brought up the husband in like two question answers. Very cute.
Yes, we love love. Please let the loved ones visit come back.
So in the videos, he came off very energetic, which is good. But then I was like, yo, is it because I'm watching this video on like 1.5 or 2 times speed that feels like he's talking really fast? Or is he just really talking really, really fast? A lot of thoughts are coming out.
Maybe he's just like used to talking with school people, and I feel like school teachers have to be really energetic in order to get their kids to listen to them. So, yeah.
So intrigued to see what Sean brings to the table. That was all 18 of our castaways this season. So I think next weekend we will be doing our tribe reactions after here, going through the cast one by one. I'm excited for the season in 2 weeks. Time
I'm
flies.
excited too. I really want to see how this shakes out because I feel like we say always that our first impressions based on just what they write down and even the videos isn't always the most accurate. So I love when the season actually starts and I'm excited we're getting closer to that.
So, Alyssa, I guess, just left by accident, but we will see you all next time. Thank you all so much for watching. Definitely in the comments, let us know she's back. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this cast. Do you agree with our takes for these people? Who do you think will go far? Who do you think will be the first boot? We will cover it all next time with our cast tribe reactions. So we will see you next weekend. Bye.